In this tutorial, we are discussing conditional statements in Excel VBA and specifically the select case statement. We discussed the option compare setting. Option compare statement can be used to set the comparison method for string data. It must be used at the module level before any procedure. If the option compare statement is not specified, the default text comparison method is binary, which is case sensitive. You can compare string data using comparison methods of binary, text, or database. Database is used only with Microsoft Access. So presently we will be discussing binary or text comparison methods. Option compare binary makes string comparisons based on a binary sort order. In Microsoft Windows, the code page, which is a character set, determines the sort order wherein ANSI 1252 code page is used for English and most European languages. Characters in the English European code page ANSI 1252 are sorted by using option compare binary, which produces a typical binary sort order which is case sensitive. So a cap A will precede cap B, which will precede small cap A, which will precede small cap B, and so on. Sorting the same characters in the same code page by using option compare text produces a non case sensitive text sort order as shown below. So option compare text makes string comparisons which are not based on a case sensitive text sort order. So a cap A will be equivalent to a small cap A, which will precede a cap B or a small cap B, wherein a cap B and small cap B are equivalent. So let's go to the Visual Basic Editor and check out how to use option compare statements in VBA code. You are presently viewing standard code module 2. We start with an option compare, a VBA code wherein the option compare statement is not specified, and therefore text comparison is binary, which is case sensitive. So a cap A will precede a cap B, which will precede a small a, which precedes a small b. Here we are evaluating or testing the expression VAR, which is of variant data type, as mentioned in the select case statement. If the expression value is between 1 to 10 or 11 to 20, as mentioned in the case clause here, this will execute the respective statements which returns a message number is between 1 and 20. If the expression value is between apples to grapes or specifically mangoes or specifically 98 or 99, this returns the message text between apples and grapes or specifically mangoes or the numbers 98 or 99. If the expression value does not fall within the above case clauses, this is the first one and this is the second one, then case else clause comes into play, which executes its respective statement, which returns the message out of range. So if we enter bananas in the input box, bananas will fall under this case clause because it is between apples to grapes. B is between A and G, and the respective message is returned. Entering oranges will not fall between apples to grapes. It is neither mangoes or the number 98 or 99, so oranges will return out of range. Similarly, apples with a capital A will precede apples with a small a, so it will again be out of range. So let's try to enter these. I'm pressing F5 on the keyboard to execute the code. So entering bananas, you get the message text between apples and grapes or specifically mangoes or the numbers 98 or 99. Now we'll enter oranges. so we get the message out of range. Now let's enter apples with a capital A. Again we get the message out of range. So here we have discussed a case where we have not specified the option compare statement and the text comparison is binary. Let's go to standard module 3. Here we are using the option compare statement. We are specifying it at the module level above the procedure and we are specifying binary. So option compare statement is specified as binary and therefore text comparison method is case sensitive, just as the previous case where the option compare statement was omitted and the default comparison was binary. The expression being evaluated is str, which is of string data type. If the expression is between apples to grapes, it falls in the first case clause. This will return text between apples and grapes. If the expression value is not between apples to grapes, then we get the message out of range. So here ground, wherein R is cap, will precede grapes because the comparison is case sensitive and will return the message text between apples and grapes, and entering ground in the input box will not precede grapes because O comes after A here and R is not capital. So we will get the message out of range. So let's check this out. Pressing F5, GR with a capital R, text between apples and grapes is returned. And now the same string but R is not capital returns out of range. So this is how you use option compare binary. Now let's go to the next module, standard module 4, where we have used the option compare text statement, and therefore text comparison will not be case sensitive. So a cap A will be equivalent to a small a, cap B will be equivalent to a small b, A will precede B, and so on. With the same code, here we are evaluating the expression str, which is of string data type. In the case clause, we have the value expression. If it falls between apples to grapes, will return text between apples and grapes, or otherwise we get the message out of range. So both apples and grapes return this message because app A with a capital A is equivalent to a small a. So apples here will not precede this apples. And here both ground with a capital R or a small r will be out of range because O comes after A. So it will not fall within the range and comparison is not case sensitive. So let's enter apples. So text between apples and grapes, and let's enter ground with a capital R. We get out of range. If the comparison method was binary, which was case sensitive, then ground with a capital R would have come between text between apples and grapes. So this is how we use option compare statements in VBA code. We can also nest select case statements within each other or with if then else statements or VBA loops, both as inner or outer loops. So this means that select case statement can be within if then else statements, or if then else statements can be within select case statements. And there is no limit to this nesting, unlike in Excel worksheet functions where you have limits in nesting. when you nest select case within another select case, it must be a complete block, and each of these blocks will terminate within its own select and select keywords. So let's go to the Visual Basic Code and check out an example of nesting here. So here we are in the standard module 5 and we are checking out a select case nested statement. We are also using VBA function for the expression which is going to be evaluated. The range has been set as cell A1 in the active sheet. So in the select case statement, here we have the expression which is a VBA function which checks if the range is empty. We are using the isEmpty function. So if range is empty, meaning it returns true in the case clause, we get the message specifying the range address, that is cell A1 is empty. So now we come to the case else clause wherein the range is not empty. Then we have another select case statement which is nested between this. This is the select case statement. So if this is the nested select case statement, and please note that within this nested select case statement there is another nested select case block. So if the now case else specifies that if the case is not empty, then the nested select case statement evaluates if the range is numeric, if it is not empty. So if the range is numeric, it returns a message that the range is cell A1 has a numeric value. And in this particular case, again, we have another nested select case block. So if the case is, if the range is numeric, and this third nested select case block tests if the range has formula. So if the range is numeric and it has formula, if this is true, then we return the message cell A1 has numeric value and also has a formula. So this is what this innermost select case nested statement specifies. Now if the range is not numeric, here it was if it is numeric, then we tested if it is has formula or not. So if the range is not numeric, then we return this message cell A1 has a text length of I length is the variable which returns the length of the text in the range. So the second nested select case statement has checked if the range is numeric, and if it is not numeric, then it returns the length. If it is numeric, then the third nesting block checks if the range has a formula. So this is how we, and you note that each select case statement has been terminated with its own end select keywords. So this is the outermost nesting loop. This is the second block, and this is the third block. So this is how we have done nesting using select case statements. Now let's compare select case statements to if then else statements. Both are conditional statements wherein one or more conditions are evaluated and a block of code is executed depending on the result of the evaluation. We had discussed if then else statements in detail in the previous tutorial. The difference between these two lies in that the select case statement, a single expression or variable is considered and evaluated at a time. In the select case expression, which is the first line, this expression is evaluated and this is a single expression. And after this, multiple case statements are used to specify possible values. So you can have multiple case clauses, but the expression which is evaluated is single. Whereas in if then else statements, multiple expressions or variables can be considered and evaluated simultaneously. So select case statement tests a single item for several possible values, whereas if then else statements test multiple items for several possible values. In this sense, if then else statements are more flexible in testing multiple variables for multiple conditions. However, in case of a large number of conditions, if then else statements might get and appear confusing and the code tends to become unreadable. So you can make a choice practically if to use a select case statement or an if then else statement, taking into account these considerations. We hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial and you found it useful. Thank you.